So we're illustration students at Middlesex working on the RAF project.
Well, there's 6 current students who are working on the project, and then we've also got 4 graduates who finished last year working on it as well.
With the RAF Museum, we've had trips to it and had the opportunity to go and see the planes up close if they relate within our story.
All of us got different briefs and we were able to develop the briefs in whatever way we liked. My brief was about RAF plane pageant in the 30s, and this is the story I'm developing. In my story I had the opportunity to look into society at the time, English society of 1930s.
So my story is about factory workers in World War I who actually constructed the planes, and what's really interesting with my research is to see how the actual site of Hendon has changed throughout the years, from being a factory to making cars.
Yeah, no, I've always liked planes, and I've always liked Second World War and other such things, so when this project came along I wanted to get on it with both hands and just have a go at it. My artistic influences that I'm really interested by people like Ralph Steadman, who do a lot of dip pen work, and I've always been interested in putting a lot of high detail into my drawings, so I like a lot of stuff like mechanics and sort of machines because I can always put a lot more detail.
So it's about a family that are moving into a new house, and I've enjoyed bringing life to the different characters because it's 5 characters, and seeing how they travel through Hendon. And it's quite funny because I think people that know Hendon, it's quite funny to see something that you know so well illustrated in a bit of a, I suppose, in a bit of a quirky way.
My story is about a veteran of the war in World War II, and he's applying to join the RAF.
I was actually really excited to get this project because I'm a massive fan of World War II history and the history of RAF pilots. My family is quite RAF based. My granddad flew Spitfires in World War II and my dad designs for Airbus. My story is quite interesting because it focused more on the women of the time. Mine's based on a WAF nurse who flew in Douglas Dakotas.
Obviously you can go to the museum and have a look around, see the aeroplanes, see the buildings, but sometimes it's really hard to imagine what it was like back then and actually what was happening. And I think with this graphic novel it's going to be really interesting for other people to be able to have a different perspective, and I think it will show the museum in a new light. It definitely has for me.
As illustrators we put character and life into a drawing, and going to a museum and looking at an aircraft itself, sometimes you don't really get the idea and what happened behind it, whereas looking at stuff through a graphic novel with everyone's different styles allows you to sort of gain like the character and have a sense of feel and just connect with it overall more than just going to see it in person.